What a title fight, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Oliveira and Dustin Poirier for the lightweight title. Huge fight. I mean, coming into this fight, we're talking about Charles Oliveira, a guy who's been around the UFC for a long time, but has had this meteoric rise to the top. And, in all honesty, hardly anybody knew about him before Tony Ferguson. Hardly anybody knew about him before he beat Michael Chandler. And he was at the top coming into this fight against Dustin Poirier. Submission specialist. He was like a 9-fight win streak. And then you got Dustin Poirier, who's riding the high of the Conor McGregor trilogy win. And this fight did not disappoint. I mean, first round was explosive. Trading blows. Charles Oliveira was fantastic with the body shots, especially those knees in the clinch. And then Dustin Poirier was throwing some bombs. But what I did notice in the first round is both these guys tired out pretty quickly, especially Poirier. There was only about a minute and a half left in the first round. He was kind of throwing haymakers. And at that point, I was questioning why Poirier was, he was looking a little tired. And fast forward into the second round, and I mean, Oliveira, great round to just keep control. That is what you call a points round. That's what I call a points round. If you need a decision win, that's going to get you it. Poirier knew that if he moved around too much, he was going to open himself up to a further submission from Oliveira. So he took the loss on points to stay alive for a new opportunity in the third. And, well, Poirier should have taken the risk in the second and did something about it because, wow, Charles Oliveira do Bronx, take a bow. What a submission. What a submission finish. He gets on the back and puts you in the crank and the choke. And that was it. I mean, wow. Charles Oliveira is a submission specialist for a reason. And he just proved it on the biggest stage against one of the fighters that's riding the biggest highs in the UFC right now. I mean, imagine a champion like Charles Oliveira was a underdog coming into this fight, and rather big underdog. Vegas didn't show it, but a lot of people thought Poirier was going to win this fight. Charles Oliveira just proved himself and more. Wow. I mean, this is a huge, huge shakeup in the division because you think Poirier wins this fight, and then it's like, okay, well, then you got Gaethje, and then maybe Poirier, figures something else out. Maybe he goes up in weight. But now that Oliveira's won, a lot of questions about Poirier and a lot of questions about Oliveira. I imagine maybe you get Oliveira and Gaethje, or maybe we see what happens with Islam, and maybe something happens there between him and Dariush, and maybe that's a title eliminator fight. I think it's going to be a while before we see another lightweight title fight. I think it's going to be another 6 months or so. I think there's a couple fights that need to happen on the way there before we get that. And as for Dustin Poirier, man, what's next for him? What is next for him? You have options down the lightweight rankings, but there's still some speculation about retirement maybe, although I doubt it. There's speculation about him changing weight classes. Who knows with him? I think it's going to be a while before we see him fight again as well. Probably a good amount of months. I haven't watched the interviews, the post-fight interviews, so I could totally be wrong on this, and video is outdated already. But I think it's going to be a while before we see both of these guys fight. Probably not until late spring, early summer, if you ask me. But, wow, this is huge. This is huge. Charles Oliveira, take a bow. It's a shame for Brazil that Amanda Nunes didn't win, because it would have been a Brazil sweep of the belts tonight. But you take what you can get, Brazil, and you've got the #1 pound-for-pound lightweight in the world, Charles Oliveira, ladies and gentlemen.